Well, hello, welcome to our podcast, Tune In with MPSCS. My name is Danielle Stewart. In celebration of Michigan's Public Safety Communication System's 30th anniversary, we are fortunate to have with us one of our outstanding longtime MPSCS employees and Bay Region Supervisor, Gray Page. In October, at our MPSCS annual division meeting, Gray was given the Director's Award by our Director Brad Stoddard for his leadership, work ethic, and positive attitude. Gray's most recent leadership was demonstrated in the MPSCS Motorola Virtualized Prime, V-Prime conversion project. Welcome to the show, Gray.
It's good to be here, Danielle.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, about where you live, your family, hobbies, what you like to do for fun?
Sure. I've lived in Midland for 28 years. I've been married for 34 years and happily married. I have a wonderful wife. I have 2 children, and now I have 2 grandsons, who have stolen their grandpa's heart. So as far as what I like to do, I'm kind of a family guy. I spend a lot of time with my kids, my grandkids, my wife, also my church family. I do a lot of stuff at the church. I also a lot of friends. So I like motorcycling, I like hunting, I like fishing, I like shooting, and I'm hoping that when those grandsons get a little bit older, we're going to do some fishing. So
that will be great, Gray. I totally identify with some of that. My husband's a huge fisherman himself, and he's gotten our boys into it. So I am sure they will be right there with Grandpa in no time.
I hope so.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you do as the Bay Region Supervisor at MPSCS and how long you've worked there?
Sure. Really, I'm privileged to be the supervisor there. I have a great team of radio techs. And just not great radio techs, but just good guys. So I enjoy being there. I've been there since 96, came out of the military and started there. I actually started as the Bridgeport radio tech, which there was no Bridgeport radio shop in the 3rd District. So there was 2 radio shops, the Bay City radio shop and the Flint radio shop. I kind of split my time between the 2. There was 2 radio shops because the Flint radio shop in the 3rd District took care of Genesee County. Genesee County was maintained by MSP, dispatched by MSP. So that took quite a bit of my time. So,
yeah, absolutely. You've been with us for a very long time, and we're so glad to have you, Gray. What does your area do and cover in the Bay region? What are some of the specific functions within your section? We know that there are a lot of moving parts that go into what a shop handles.
Yeah, there is. But really, like some of the other radio all the other radio shops, we maintain the subscribers for the state of Michigan. The mobile office equipment that are in the MSP vehicles, the communication stuff in DNR, MDOT, anything that's state of Michigan communications, radio communications we take care of, but also the infrastructure in the 3rd District MSP area. So there's like 12 counties. We maintain the infrastructure. There's I think there's 35 RF towers. And of those 35 towers, there's 4 simulcast systems, Genesee, Saginaw, the Pier, and Midland. Yep. So we maintain that infrastructure.
It's a lot of responsibility, Gray.
Yes, it is.
Yep. A lot of responsibility. When and why did you enter into this type of work at MPSCS? Have you always wanted to do this type of work, or what brought you on this journey?
Well, and I had a decision to make in 96 whether to stay in the Air Force or get out. I spent 9 years in the Air Force. My dad was MSP. When I had talked to him, he was like, "Why don't you get out and become a trooper?" And I said, "Well, Dad, there was a 17-year-old boy that wanted to be a trooper one time, and his dad talked him out of it." And he said, "Well, his dad probably had a bad attitude at the time." So I actually took the trooper test. But at the same time, there was a position opening with communications in MSP. And I was in comm in the Air Force. And so I took the trooper test. I needed a 98. I got a 95. And so I decided to, instead of retaking the test, I I had written a letter to Mr. Harry Warner, who was in kind of head of the comm division at the time. Actually, I think Lieutenant Steffel was, but maybe he was the assistant at the time. And I think my journey kind of started from there. I actually came back to Michigan because I was living in Georgia at the time after I got out of the Air Force. And I started at a radio shop in Bay City, worked there 4 weeks. In the 2-week part, the state called me and they offered me a job. I gave them 2 weeks notice. And so I've been working here since then.
That's a great story, Gray. We are so lucky to, as a division, as a whole, how many wonderful people we've had come to us with that military background, and how working communications in one of the military branches has led them into
Yes.
our realm. Very interesting how that's all worked out. So thank you for your service, Gray.
Oh.
And that's an interesting start to your career. We are going to take a little break and we will be right back.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Regardless of what you have seen or heard, 911 cannot locate you immediately when calling from a cell phone. Knowing your location is very important when calling. This is as simple as knowing the address you're calling from, teaching address information to children, and knowing what street you are on while traveling. Know your location.
Welcome back to our podcast. Our guest today is Bay Region Supervisor at Michigan's Public Safety Communications System, Gray Page. Welcome back.
Back in the saddle.
Gray, could you tell us about some of the big projects you have worked on and what sort of improvements have been made to the system in your area under your leadership?
There's been quite a few projects over the years, so I can think back and talk about Genesee. And Genesee came on, like I spoke of earlier, we maintained their high band system. They became a member of MPSCS back in 2005. We brought them on as a simulcast. It was a 7-site simulcast system and dispatch center. They were the second simulcast system to integrate into the MPSCS. I think Monroe was the first. Okay. So they came on in like 2005. From there, they actually added another site, I think in 2008, Davison site, to increase portable coverage in that area. Saginaw simulcast and dispatch came on in 2009. It was a 4-site simulcast system. 2011, we brought on an ASR site with Bay County. Also, I think Tuscola Dispatch came on at that time, integrated. It's 2012, Lapeer simulcast and dispatch came on the system. And that's a lot of work. The simulcast systems, that was a 6-site simulcast. It's a lot of work bringing those on.
It's a huge undertaking.
It's a long time period too. So,
yeah.
So that was in 2012. We also built out another site in Flint. 3509 came on. Flint joined they weren't part of the consortium in Genesee when Genesee came on, and they wanted to add additional coverage in the city of Flint, so they built a site there that added to the Genesee simulcast system too. That was like 2014. Midland came on in 2015, simulcast system and dispatch. After that, we had some dispatch centers enter, like Bay County, I think it was 2018, Iosco County Dispatch 2019 or so. Then we went into COVID and things kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of projects like that. In between that, of course, there's been big MSP projects of cameras and NBC changeouts and DNR. So it's kept us busy through the years. We've increased interoperability, I believe, through that time period I've been there. really just assisting locals as they make decisions to whether to come on or not, and then at that point, recommending and working with them on comm plans, storm plans. So it's been a good ride.
With all of those projects, I'd suspect that your days go by pretty fast.
They do.
They do.
Yes.
That makes work good. It makes work fun. I like it, Gray. I like it.
Well, the only time is when I'm sitting behind a computer doing management stuff. Then it goes.
Then time slows down.
Yes, time slows down.
I understand that too. Busy hands is the way to go.
Yep.
Do you have any great stories or favorite memories that you want to share about your career? It's always hard when you get put on the spot with it, but I am sure in your time you've got one or two.
If I look back, when we did the initial coverage testing for the system and being with like a trooper driving a Blue Goose going into godforsaken country, like Camp Grayling up there, and them thinking they're going to make it through, a sand pit with a Crown Vic, and having to dig them out later, or during an upgrade, like I think from 5.0 to 6.0, when we were running site to site, changing out SRU boards to HSU boards and in the channel banks, and doing that and trying to get it done fast, and kind of a competition. I remember Don Smeltzer, he actually works at Motorola now and has for quite a long time, but he worked on the west side of the state. And I can remember listening on the radio as we were going site to site, and I was trying to keep up with him because he was good. He's a good guy.
Friendly competition to get the work done, right?
Yeah, you betcha. So, but it seems like in the beginning we had some, I don't know, it was more time to kind of play pranks on people. The techs kind of, we have the sirens available, and every now and then a siren would end up in a car, inside the car. I can tell you one story of a time. There was a couple of radio techs when I first came out at the Bay City radio shop. One of the radio techs decided one day he was going to hook up a siren. He put a little switch on the chair of the other tech's chair, and we were in a little 10x10. There was three of us in a 10x10 room, 3 workbenches, a little office desk. So it's a closed room. It was in the old Bay City Post in Bay City, and so he sets that up, and he put up our benches were so full of equipment, and he put up the speaker right there, so it's like this close, and. So the other radio tech comes in, and he sits down in that chair, and he starts talking, and he leans back.
And all of a sudden.
Yes, full siren, man.
Yeah.
He came up out of that chair, and we were laughing. Okay, well, that's not the best part. So the best part is the tech that set that up in the first place, he's like, he had to go out and work on something. So the other tech was like, watch this. So he took the chair, and he moved it on the other side, reran the cable, and put it on his side.
Yeah.
The only problem is he forgot to take the speaker and put it over on the other guy's tech. So he came back in, he sits down in his chair, their tech's sitting there, and he got blasted again. And I could not, I was just dying. So, but we did a lot of prank stuff. It seemed like we had more time too back then. Yeah. I don't know, we just don't seem to have that time now. We're just running. But I would have to say that we make memories every day.
Yeah.
The team, we work together. We have a guy that comes in and cleans occasionally now, and he told me the other day, he goes, man, I love coming in here. When you guys are here, he goes, you're like poking at each other, you guys are laughing, and we do. We have a good team. So
that makes for amazing camaraderie. It makes for a happy workplace. Mm-hmm. It makes for a good environment. Like you don't get that everywhere. So it's very special.
You do not. No.
When
we
you
share
can say, after all these
information,
years,
we share, our experiences, we share, family issues,
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's great, Gray. I've got another great couple of questions for you as we work towards wrapping this up. What is a fun fact about you that most people don't know?
A fun fact. Well, I said I was in the military. Well, I met my wife in the military on the M16 range. She actually outshot me. She got expert, and for the first time, I did not, because you've probably never heard of these, but we had these things called BCGs. They were glasses. So if you had to wear glasses, you had to wear these BCGs. They're called birth control glasses. We call them BCGs, because when you put them on, they were like them old 50s black rimmed.
Oh, man.
That's what they were.
Yeah.
So we call them BCGs. Well, I didn't want her to see me in those BCGs, so I kept taking them off when I. So
to impress your future wife.
I did not shoot expert that time, but we actually went out for lunch. I asked her out to lunch, and we went out to lunch, and the rest is kind of history. That was at Eglin Air Force Base. It was just about a year later that we did a joint assignment to Guam at Anderson Air Force Base. So married.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is a great story. And the fact that it's your wife that outshot you, even though I know why, and it's because of those glasses. I mean, as a woman, girl power, that is awesome. That is a great story.
She's good with a pistol too.
Yeah. You need to introduce me to your wife. That's awesome. What kind of advice would you give a student looking into this as a career choice for them? Or what is maybe the best piece of advice that you've gotten over your career?
I would really recommend that somebody go into the military. For a student, say serve 4 years. Serve your country 4 years. Learn and if they want to be in this career field. I mean, I know in the Air Force, there's a ground radio tech position. That's what I was in. There's avionics. We just hired Albert Self. He came out of the Army. It was called actually an avionics mechanic, but they did all the communications in planes and choppers and so forth. So, there's good stuff there to learn, but not only as far as education and experience, but learn how to follow and learn how to lead, because you can't lead without learning how to follow. And you learn that in the military. You learn discipline. You learn camaraderie. If you're normally an independent worker, you learn teamwork. Right. If you're normally a team worker, you learn independence. So that would be my suggestion. As far as, I guess, stuff I've been, my dad always used to tell me, do right. Yeah. My grandfather always used to say, well, when I asked him, I told him I was going to the military, he said, go into electronics or computers. Yeah. That was my grandpa. Yeah. So I went into electronics, RF electronics. So that was probably some of the best advice I was given.
Sounds like you had some good role models.
I did.
In your father and your grandfather.
My grandpa was Lincoln Park Police Department. He was retired from there as lieutenant. My dad was 28 years MSP, commander at Bridgeport, retired out of there, and then another 17 years as a chief of police in Cairo.
Wow. There's a wealth of knowledge there too. I'm absolutely sure of it. So moving forward, what plans do you have for your future, or what other things do you like to do? Where do you see yourself going?
Well, it's going to be a while before I retire, but
that's good. We need to keep you. We already did an interview.
My grandsons are calling.
And I know they are, but we still need you here, Gray.
Well, I'm going to be here. Well, Lord willing, I'll be here for a while. But I think technology is going to change, because technology always changes. I think to focus on continuing supporting the team to ensure they have what they need, we have what we need to do our mission, to ensure our first responders have reliable communications. So push towards that end. As far as the career side, as far as personal, those grandsons are going to see a lot. They're going to get tired of the grandpa. Yeah. So, and
that's a good thing.
But yes, it is. I'm looking forward to that. I mentioned about fishing earlier. I do more hunting and motorcycling than fishing, but I did some fishing in the military and so forth. So we're going to kind of get into that together, But their parents are going to be like, "You're taking them again?" Yes.
It helps.
Anyway.
It helps the young parents out. As
Right.
one myself, I understand. So it's the
I'll
grandpas.
remember
it's
that.
the grandmas. Okay, you guys are unsung heroes when it comes to helping with the kids. That's great, Gray. So this is all the time that we have for today, and we just want to thank you, Gray Page, for being here to tell us about yourself and the MPSCS Bay Region as a supervisor and the work that you guys do. So we really appreciated your time today.
Well, thank you for having me to share. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We hope that you've all enjoyed the show, and we will be back soon. Thank you for listening to Tune In with MPSCS. This has been an MPSCS 30th Anniversary Edition podcast.
Be sure to look us up at www.michigan.gov/MPSCS, YouTube, SoundCloud, LinkedIn, and on Twitter at MPSCS. You can also subscribe to our podcast on iTunes so you never miss an episode. We will see you next time.